more than 5 years and over 50 episodes later. Welcome to The Guy Doing Things, hosted by Thornton Fincham. Sit back and relax, unless you're driving, of course. And let's get into the show.
Welcome to The Guy Doing Things, Steyn Swart. It's so nice to have you. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Good being here, yeah.
So, Steyn is a biokineticist, all the way from Koffsies. So, everyone who's Grey College fans or Cheetahs fans would, like to see him on this podcast. But I'm sure you're not any of those fans.
No,
either of those.
I'm a Shark supporter, so
okay,
might lose some fans because we didn't have a good season, but other than that, yeah, proud.
Okay, awesome. Now the reason I have you on is firstly, it's my friend, but he's also an expert as a biokineticist in the human body. And last year I challenged myself with a few things, and I wanted him to come and give a expert opinion on that type of stuff, and then we're going to talk about general consistency and all of that. But before we dive headfirst into this episode, please tell us a bit about yourself and where you're from and how did you become such a cool person, all that type of stuff.
Okay, yeah. So I studied in the Free State, but I was actually born in East London, born and raised there. So grew up in Slumtown.
What is the team there? East London.
Border Bulldogs.
Border Bulldogs.
Yeah. So no, wild days over there. But then from there went to study at Koffsies, finished my undergrad and my postgrad there, and then came to Cape Town, studied biokinetics here, did my honours here, and then internship at Stellenbosch University.
Lekker.
Yeah. And then from there started getting a job, working for someone, and then open up my own practice. Yeah, so it's been 3 years now, but yeah, I think how I got into it, I have a love to work with people. I enjoy working with people. I was always a sports person myself. I still am. I try to get to as many sports as I can, but
I hear you play a mean game of squash.
Yeah,
we haven't played, but I'm afraid to.
No, we'll enjoy it. But yeah, I play squash, but rugby was always my big passion, and had a lot of injuries, so couldn't necessarily make it further with that, and still wanted to be part of people who has injuries. Biokineticists and physios has played always such a big role in my recovery and my rehab and getting back onto the sports field. And I think having gone through all those injuries and having gone through all those frustrations helped me to guide young players now, or anyone going through the different type of injuries, because you're on such a high playing the sport that you love, and then all of a sudden you have this injury, and you're making tackles and you're playing games, and now you can't make food for yourself because you're in a sling and you can't write. You have to write with the other hand, and you just get frustrated from don't have that out. So it's helpful then to help them focus on the things that they can control rather than the things that they can't control. So there's a lot of other things that you can start working on so long, and then getting them back and ready. But it's also not just sports people. It's elderly people who had strokes, anyone that just wants to improve their longevity or their quality of life. We focus on all of that with looking at a certain program that will help you and aid you in becoming the best version of what you can. Yeah.
If that wasn't a sales pitch, I don't know what is. But I mean, it's amazing, and it's cool that this was born out of a passion as well. I mean, I can hear that you're passionate. I also can see you're passionate because of personal experience. But thanks for the intro, and once again, thanks for taking the time to look at this. So just as context, so last year I said I wanted to do 10,000 push-ups, but over 100 days. So easy maths, 10 days, 100 days, 100 push-ups. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
What happened was completely different. There were days that I did 0. There were days that I did 10. I did 15 and then whatever. And I want you to comment on that as well. Also on the effectiveness of doing 10,000 push-ups, if it's actually smart to do it. Because I did some research halfway through and I found that just doing one singular exercise is actually really bad, awkward. But anyway, And last year,
in too deep, you couldn't stop there.
yeah, I was like 50 days in. I'm not going to stop now. I changed the type of push-ups I did, but I don't think by that time my scapula. Well, is it?
Our shoulders, scapula.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what I have an expert on. I think by that time it was already in a certain, I was already
winging.
Yeah, I was already in a type of rut, let's say. But and then another challenge that I did was to break all of my distance records. Now I'm not anywhere near a sub 2 hour marathon at all. I also wear Adidas shoes, but not those fast ones that they're wearing. But I accomplished it. So I broke my 5K record, 10K, 21K, and 42K. And in that, I obviously had to learn running consistency. Now, what I want to ask specifically, what I firstly want your advice on, and I'm shamelessly reading the question now, just to be completely sure. My lesson that I learned here was inconsistency. Obviously, the lesson was 100 days to do 10,000 push-ups. And because there were days that I did 0, by the end, the last week, I had to do like 250 push-ups a day, which is obviously, it hurts way more, but I learned a bit of, I learned consistency there. Can you tell me, like, you listening to what I'm saying now, probably thinking, man, you should have called me and asked me for advice when you were doing the challenges, not afterwards. But what can you say about the pitfalls of taking on challenges like these as an everyday athlete? I mean, I'm not a pro athlete. Yeah. I'm just a normal guy that buys shoes and goes and runs. So what would be the pitfalls of taking on challenges like that?
Yeah, no, well, first off, I think challenges like this is great. I think it's a great way to get you out of that rut of saying I can't do things and I can accomplish things, and not seeing yourself as unfit or someone that can't accomplish these type of challenges. I think it's a great way to challenge yourself, but some of the pitfalls can be if you don't plan ahead, like doing research only midway through. I think planning is the best way to start with it, because if you don't plan, the pitfalls tend to be that you take on something too big, that you see, oh, okay, this is actually much bigger than I thought, and then you don't finish it and you get demotivated, and it's not something that you can stay consistent with going forward. The other thing is also, if it's too big and you feel like you need to push too hard to get there, you get injured, and then you're not going to be consistent with whatever challenge you have going forward or training. And then you actually start getting a negative connotation with the exercising as well, and you stop completely. So then that's also important to take into consideration, that you have a positive vibe or a positive emotion towards training. With that being said, also try and start with challenges that you find that makes you happy, that you find motivated to do. Start off with the easier ones, or ones that you enjoy, that's not too much out of your comfort zone, and then if you like it more, you'll do it more. If you also choose something that's horrible and you do it for 100 days consecutively, you might also feel like, I used to like this, but now it's been too much, and I'm not going to do it anymore. So so the big thing is the planning around it, and that could, if you don't plan adequately and set it up for failure, then it's not going to be good and you're going to lose consistency. But if you do it in moderation and you get a certain thing that you really like doing, and you see, okay, well, this is something achievable for me, then it's going to help you stay more consistent with it. And once you've ticked that off, then you can go to something bigger, and then you can build it up like that to help you keep the consistency. But
Awesome, thanks. Those are lessons I obviously learned afterwards. So it's good that you also kind of bring that to the table, because doing 10,000 push-ups, I mean, afterwards you think you're going to have this massive chest and a six-pack, which I didn't, and I don't. And breaking all the records is nice, and it was cool to do it. But I think just understanding the principles behind doing it. And that kind of also leads me to the next question. The reason that I started the podcast and I do challenges like this is because I used to be a couch potato, doing nothing. Like, I went home from school, put the Disney Channel on, and ate Fruit Loops on my couch. And now there's like a balance to me, like taking on challenges that could potentially hurt me and does hurt me, because he has received phone calls from me like, oh, my knee, and he's like, what did you do? So there's a balance between that, but how do you reach a balance like that? Because we want to challenge ourselves, or at least I'm inspired to challenge myself, and with this podcast to challenge other people to go outside. But now I know rest is important, and that balance. How do you strike a balance, and what do you tell the people that come through your door, like people that overtrain or people that don't train enough? Where do you find that nice equilibrium?
Yeah, so that is tricky. It's important to have challenges that puts you out of your comfort zone, because that's when you're going to start growing. But it is also important to listen to your body. So the body needs stress and load to actually start adapting and to actually start seeing change. But there's a balance between if you do nothing and you sit on the couch, your body actually becomes deconditioned and you deteriorate, the muscles don't work or starts getting weaker, not working, but it just gets weaker. But if you load yourself too much too quick, then rather you load yourself quicker than the pace that you can adapt or change with it, then your body is going to take some knocks. So it's about listening to your body as well. You get people that are very mind strong saying, I'm just going to keep pushing through. Pain is weakness, leaving the body. And
stay hard. David Goggins.
Exactly. Yeah, he's a very strong-minded, resilient, mental person. So there is that aspect of pushing through, and you got to achieve something where you feel uncomfortable. If you're just going to stay at a 5 kilometer at a certain pace, you're never going to grow and you're never going to go faster and stuff, but you got to push somewhat through that. But you got to differentiate what is the difference between, is this just an uncomfortableness that's going to help me grow, or is my body actually trying to tell me something? About differentiate between pain, because pain is weakness leaving the body, some people, but pain can also be information telling you, listen, this knee is not happy now because it's overloaded, or there's certain muscles switching off, or certain things that's not activating the way it should. And then you should actually listen to it, because that can also then go back to the consistency part, where now you get an injury and now you out for a longer period because you didn't listen to the initial signs that your body was giving you. So staying on the couch is going to not be good, but it all comes back to the planning, and it all comes back to doing things in moderation and starting slow and seeing what your body can tolerate. And then when you feel comfortable, push it up, but also seeking someone that can help you and assist you with that, seeking professional help to say, listen, cool, we've seen that you can maintain this, and we see that you pushing the stronger weights and this is becoming easy. So now we push it a bit harder and going to what your body can handle.
Yeah. I think the big thing that I've learned as well is you can't do it alone, like you said. So the last point that you made is extremely valuable, is doing it alone and going out, just cycling alone, running alone is not good, but taking on a challenges like this has to be with friends. And I think with friends or people that are experts. I've seen, or you already kind of answered most of what I'm going to ask now, but if you were to, let's say I redo it this year, 10,000 push-ups, and I come to you and I tell you, how would you approach this? And I'm telling, or I tell you I want to do that and I want to break those records again. How would you approach it? Let's break it up. Let's build a small plan. How would you approach a challenge like that if someone approached you, or if you take on that challenge?
Yeah, so a lot of times people just see the big event, the final thing, saying this is what needs to be done, but they neglect the months and the years of preparation building up to it. So let's say you come in and we start building on a plan. So the first thing we do is we put you on a little machine, measures exactly how strong you are and stuff like that, and see where you are. We put you through physical tests, endurance tests, functional tests, and see what your body is capable of doing right now. And that will give us an idea of where you are and where your shortfalls are. Then we start targeting that. The main thing along with all of these things is creating the base. And then we say, okay, this is what we want to achieve in 100 days. But this challenge is starting in 30 days. So let's put some groundwork in now, is focus on getting those things out so that we can eliminate any injuries that's going to take place. And we build a program saying, week 1, this is what you do there. And then we start prehabbing you and getting you ready for that. And then from there, we do the challenge. And then what we've seen with the prehab and build that into certain categories of week 1 and then progressive loading from there to get you ready and not overloaded.
Okay. I think the whole idea that I'm taking from that is planning, obviously, because you mentioned a lot.
Planning, yeah.
And kind of breaking it up into smaller pieces.
Yeah.
Obviously, the 10,000 push-ups, the 100 days, I think breaking it up in that way could be great in a sense, but why would it be bad for me to do so many push-ups and one singular exercise?
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned and felt it earlier as well, is if you do one singular thing, and now that's what I wanted to mention as well, is if we go look and see, okay, cool, this is the muscles you will be using a lot, but what are the other ones that's actually switching off while you're just focusing solely on running and push-ups? So there's a lot of the other stuff that's not being utilized because you're focusing all your energy in this one channel or this one exercise and this one form of training. So then it would be a good thing to say, cool, you've got your stuff that you need to focus on with the running, with the push-ups. Let's see what we can focus on here that will counter that and start working the back muscles and the serratus and the lower traps and everything to help get that posture back open again, because you're doing so much push-ups.
I want to match up more.
Yeah. Great form that we have.
Yeah.
So then we start working on the counterbalance of that to say, you're doing all these push-ups, you're sitting and working on the computer, everything of you is pulling forward, but you're doing not really a lot to get it to the back. We'll just give you a variation of the push-up. I think you did mention you did start doing push-ups a bit different and stuff like that. So helping on assisting with some of those changes that you can make and focusing on those things, because doing one certain exercise the whole time, singular exercise, and just focusing on that does tend to lead to changes in your posture, changes into the muscular biomechanics and everything like that. So we would want to counter that with working the antagonist muscles and really setting that posture, or with the running, helping certain other ways that you can get those muscles strong, the smallest stabilizing muscles to help you with your running, that you don't overload with that, and that you have stability when you do run and minimize any injuries because you are running so much.
Yeah.
To break the records, yeah.
Awesome.
I'm glad that you did break the records.
Yes. I'll put the times up somewhere just to... It won't be a brag. I think some of those aren't even records in any sense, but they're my records and I like that. So that's cool.
Yeah, and that's the other thing with the pitfall. Sorry, I actually forgot that. But that you don't compare yourself with other people. Remember, this is a challenge for yourself, and don't get discouraged when you're looking at what other people can accomplish. I think one of the important things is keep a documentary of your training as well. So things are going to get tough and things are going to get difficult, and you are going to feel demotivated and not, especially Cape Town winter, to go and train. But then looking back and seeing, is that all worth it? But you look back and say, I don't feel like I'm improving with my times with the running, or I'm not improving with my distance. But then you look back at 2 months ago and you could only do or barely do a 5 kilometer. You had to walk in between because you documented, I walked 500 meter, or it took me 20 minutes to do a 3K or 2K or whatever. And then now it's taking me 18 minutes or 16 minutes, and you can see that improvement. And then you can actually go look back and see, I am actually progressing, and I am actually better than I was a month ago. Yeah. And also it keeps you accountable, knowing that there's an empty sheet saying, what did you do here today? And you didn't write anything in. So it keeps you accountable to say, I need to do something because I need to write it in. Or then you can go and see, I didn't have any progress, but you didn't have X amount of days filled in where you didn't do anything. And then you can be like, oh, well, this is why, because I didn't do, out of the 100 days, I only did 50 days of exercising, because the other days I didn't document anything. So it keeps you accountable to see if you are progressing and helps you stay motivated, or I'm not progressing enough and I need to actually step it up a bit, being more consistent.
Yeah, that makes 100% sense. Thank you for that. Then that was a piece of advice, but I want to ask if you have another piece of advice that you might want to leave the audience with.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it earlier, is don't try and do it alone. Get people that's like-minded and surround yourself with them, because at the end of the day, build a community. It becomes a lot better to suffer together than it is to suffer alone. I think there's a lot of value in it, getting like-minded people and picking a hobby that all of you like, and then it becomes a lot easier to stay consistent with it. But the biggest thing that the mistakes people make is doing it alone without friends, or doing it alone without professional help. But also they try and do something so extreme where they want to run a marathon, but they've never ran before. So start small. It doesn't have to be extreme. It just has to be consistent. So if you keep with it and you start with your 5K and you tick that box, and then you move to the 10K, and then you move to the 21, and eventually you'll get to the marathon. I think that's better than just going in from 0 to hero, and then you end up hurting yourself or you lose it. The goal of these challenges aren't to just survive it, but to actually change your lifestyle and to actually provide something that's sustainable for you to carry on with, by moving and keeping fit and active, and not being, I survived this, but never again. That shouldn't be your outcome or your takeaway from the challenge, but rather something that I can't wait to challenge myself again with something, or because of you did the planning of if it was too hectic or not.
Yeah. Thank you. That was great. Thank you so much for the episode and for your time. I want to ask, where can people find you if they're in the Durbanville area, or if they just want to, stalk you on Instagram or whatever?
So my practice name is very original. It's Steyn Swart biokineticist. I'm based in Tiger Waterfront here in Bellville in Cape Town, and then I was fortunate enough to open up another practice. So there's another one in Eversdal, right across Jean Low Primary School, and I've got someone working there, Jade Rautenbach. So you can check online Steyn Swart biokinetics at the website, or Instagram handle Steyn Swart biokinetics. Everything's quite simple.
Easy to find them.
Yeah, and Tiger Waterfront or Eversdal. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you much for your time.
My friend.
And we'll chat soon again.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, man. It was great being here.